Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Caught on the Mic. Let me tell you a little bit about my next guest. If you had a MySpace page in the early 2000s, it is very likely that one of my next guest songs was your profile song, maybe even New Friend Request. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to welcome the one and only Travie McCoy of Gym Class Heroes to the show, and he's sporting the Ultimate Warrior right now. Travie, how the hell are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I am
Little
so.
introduction. You know what I'm saying?
He ran in, he shook the ropes, he made it go.
Shout out to rest in peace. You know what I mean? To you, Dubs.
Dude, I tell you, where the hell is time gone, man? Does it really feel like Paper Cut Chronicles is 20 years ago?
It doesn't, and it made the sun, but it doesn't to me, and that's all that matters to me. Like I just turned 44, bro. Which sounds crazy to say. So that means this album came out at my midway point,
Right.
like right when I was having a midlife crisis.
Do you feel like because of social media and maybe even being accelerated by the pandemic that your concept of time has like
Oh, absolutely, bro. There, something happened. Something happened. I'm not really big on conspiracy theories. I'm lying. I be. Now, I'm not really big on conspiracy theories, but I think I'm a firm believer that COVID was not. Uh, it wasn't a coincidence, and I feel that the way we felt after COVID wasn't coincidence either. I don't know what went on. I mean, I know what went on for me during COVID and a lot of other people, but I feel like the CD skipped a couple tracks type shit. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. It's kind of weird because you look online. Speaking of conspiracy theories, you look at things like Mandela effects and the whole 2012 shit, and you're like, man, there is. It does feel like there was a hiccup in time at some point or another.
I agree 100%. But I will say, it worked in my favor because I look as good as I did when I was 22. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the Mandela effect. Shout out to COVID. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
well let's let's take it back. Let's talk origin story a little bit. You and Matt famously met in gym class, which inspired the band's name.
Yes, sir.
Looking back, did you have any idea that those early jam sessions would evolve into something that became so culturally impactful?
You know, a lot of people would lie to you and say no, but I'm gonna keep it a buck 50 with you and say no. But just for a simple fact, like, but I will say this. I mean, when you say culturally impactful, I wasn't thinking, you know, I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I played chess and I'm pretty damn good, but I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I just wanted to make my friends and the people in my small town of Geneva, New York, uh, the Papercut Chronicles is one big inside joke.
Mhm.
If for the people that don't know, and it's as much as I thought it was just for Geneva, New York, where I grew up. It's a big inside joke for anybody who grew up in a small town and knew they were too big for it. You know what I'm saying? Like in their, like they knew that that fishbowl was too small. You know, um, but as we started to like delve into making the album and making more original material, I knew at a very early age that there wasn't a lot of music out that sounded like what we were doing, you know? And that gave me the huevos or the cojones to be like, you know, like I know we have something to offer, you know? And I wore that on my chest, like, You know, I knew we had something. I didn't know if it'd be, you know, culturally affect if it would affect the culture, but I knew my hometown would get it, and I knew that eventually the world would if they stuck around a little bit, and they stuck around, you know?
You know, one of the things that I loved about you guys when you first broke out on the scene is somebody that was playing in punk bands and rock bands myself at the time was you brought all of us that were heads out into the open because you guys were like hip hop for the Warped Tour scene, and I absolutely loved that.
We weren't necessarily for the Warped Tour scene. We were accepted by the Warped Tour scene. You know what I'm saying? And without catering to the Warped Tour scene. You know what
Yes.
I
Yeah,
mean?
I agree with that. Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I see a lot of I see a lot of artists. I don't want to say switch up, but like catering. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, oh, nostalgia is coming back. Let me do something that you know. Let me do some shit that may appeal to this crowd. But we never did anything to try to appeal to that crowd. And some people would argue and say, well, they made Taxi Driver, and you know they named all these Indian emo. But like, I can give two shits if any of those bands heard that song. You know what I mean? Or if any of them gave a fuck about that song. All I
Right.
knew was that I was shitting on the toilet one day reading AP, and I'm like, "There's some very strange band names." You know what I mean? Like, and it started making this whole narrative in my head. And the thing is, when I wrote it and recorded it, my friends that have no idea what AP is, who have no idea who what Warped Tour is, I spit to them like, "Damn, like you're spitting," and they had no idea that entire song was all band names. You know, so like
Right.
the fact that it struck a chord with them without knowing, and then my friends who knew every single band, it blew their brains, but the fact that it worked on both ends without me having to explain anything, that to me, I was like, "Alright, cool." So, like, I mean, I guess that could be some people's argument to say, "Oh, well, they catered," and, like because I have family, and I don't wanna say yeah, I'll call them family. Family who have served football numbers, I swear could never who would never be able to tell you who Every Time I Die is or My Chemical Romance is, but to them, it's still a narrative story that they can follow, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's kinda goes to the exact point I was actually maybe I misspoke or misdirected a little bit, but that goes to the exact point I was trying to make. It's like you brought something to the masses that maybe wasn't familiar and carved your own place in the culture, which I absolutely loved.
I appreciate that so much, man.
You know, Gym Class Heroes has always blended hip hop, rock, funk, reggae in a way that felt ahead of its time. So, how do you see that sound evolving as you re-enter the scene in 2025?
I was literally just having a conversation with one of my managers, Matt, and we were talking about how much these lines have been blurred over the years. You know, since we were playing Warp Tour and since before we were playing Warp Tour, um, how like and one of my examples was, you know, Brooks and Dunn come out, right? And do a whole ass show, but their first three songs, if you take their vocals out, they sound like fucking Trippie Redd songs, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
if you
Yes.
take that ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling, you take that shit out, it sounds like it'd be a whole ass Trippie Redd song. So what does that say? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, it says a lot. And aside from that, like, we never set out to break any boundaries or, you know, if anything, I wanted to make it easier for for kids of color who were just as into that scene as I was growing up to not feel as exiled and feel like they had to fight to be there as much as I did. And
Right.
I feel like that's dissipating day by day. You know what I mean? And it should never been a thing to begin with. You know what I'm saying? It should never been like music is fucking music. Whoever feels it feels it. Like there should be no fucking color barriers. There should no line. There should be no lines drawn. You know what I'm saying? And that I remember going to Warped Tour when I was younger, and in Buffalo, and watching Body Count play, and then looking over and seeing a whole group of fucking racist, white supremacist skinheads dancing like moshing to Body Count, but also like trying to fight black kids. And I'm like, Ice-T's black, right? Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what is going on? And that's what that's when it, and mind you, I'm 14, 15 years old at the time. So I'm like, something has to change. And I think things have changed for the better. For the better, I don't think I think music should be boundless. I think it should be genreless. I think it should be. I don't like boxes. I never have. I mean, Gym Class Heroes is a huge social experiment in not falling into boxes, or being placed into them. And I'm just happy and glad that if anything, we were a part in breaking down those barriers to let those kids know it was okay, you know?
Yes. Yes. You know what's hilarious about you talking about that? I swear I've brought it up in every single episode, the last 10 episodes that I've done, is as much as we want to shit on streaming and the bad payouts that streaming has, one silver lining with streaming services is you talk to this younger generation, music truly is borderless now. Kids don't look at music as genre, they just look at music as music. And a lot of times these playlists are curated not by genre, but more by mood. Like,
Absolutely.
and,
Absolutely.
and so it plays exactly to what you were saying
And when
wholeheartedly.
you look at some of those artists on those on some of those playlists, you're like, why are they in the same playlist? But does it matter? Like, it
Right.
should never matter, because if the vibe's right, the
Yup.
music's right, why does it matter if we're black or white? Bars. Ah.
I'm glad we got that on recording.
Bars.
So this year, there was an introduction into the Rochester Music Hall of Fame. How badass was that,
It
man?
was crazy. It was I mean, I mean, so let me preface it by saying this. I had the how do I put, cuz this I have to state this the right way. I had the honor. I don't want to say privilege. I had the honor to be a part of the Beastie Boys induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right.
And I got to be at Rock for a night, and it was probably one of the dopest points of my career. Um, and for me, that night in Rochester was, if not comparable, like, it was up there, like for sure, for sure. When we get to do Cleveland, that's another thing. But my mind's not even on that right now. The fact that we were inducted into a Hall of Fame that was close to home, and it was voted by the people close to home, that means the world to me. You know what I mean? And oh man, yeah. Shout out to Big Uncle Jimmy Richmond, who was a part of he actually performed me that night. And Jimmy was a part of a legacy of like groups that were coming up in my area during my dad's high school days. My dad used to go to see Jimmy play at dances, and during his high school days and stuff. So to perform with Jimmy while I was being inducted into the Rock, I don't want to say as Gym Class was being inducted into the Rochester Music Hall of Fame, it was beyond. It was like it felt like a fever dream, man. For real, for real. It did.
So in a midst of full circle moments, did you ever imagine something like that happening whenever you were first starting out?
No. No. I mean, honestly, like, I I say this too much, but to keep it a Milwaukee book, like, bro, I just wanted to make, again, I just wanted to make music that my friends like. and maybe go home with a fine hyena. You know what I mean? Like that's all I wanted. I don't ask for much, you know? I don't ask for much.
I love it. I love it. So 14-year hiatus, over a decade since the last Gym Class Heroes record. What ultimately sparked the decision to reunite and create new music?
As much as it seemed as a hiatus, uh, there was a lot of politics going on, like internal,
Yeah.
external, um, label situations, management situations. There's a lot of shit that fans of music don't necessarily
Right.
get to see or need to see. You know what I mean? That were going on. So, um, I guess making or creating Gym Class Heroes music never stopped. Never stopped. And as you guys will see, when you get this influx of GCH in your ass, like, and I hope it cleans your colon for the better. But what I'm saying is like, it never stopped, and Never Slept Better kind of was a way for me to, um, I don't want to say disassociate, but like kind of like take a step away from everything that was happening, like
Yeah.
that I wasn't ready for, and focus on making shit that I thought was dope and then putting it out to people who I thought would think it was dope. So let me say shout out to Hopeless for believing in that album and doing what they do and getting it out to the people. And shout out to my brother Jared Christine, who I produced that album with. And um a lot of the joints had the original Gym Class lineup on, which is fucking priceless to me. But
Yeah.
there came a point where it was just like, what are we doing this for? Like, like I said, everything I mentioned before kind of came into play. It was like we're all kind of like coming into adulthood, trying to understand how to manage our business ourselves, as well as uh you know um feeling okay with telling our management, our label, we're not cool with that. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
a lot of people don't don't learn to build those gonads to say, nah, I'm not cool with that. Like I don't, and or furthermore, like, I mean, there were situations where there were songs where, I mean, again, I just turned 44, so there's times where I would, be a little overtly sexual, and they'd be like, you can't say that." I'm like, "Who the fuck are you to tell me?
Right.
I'm 35 years old. I can't say I like having sex? Like, the fuck?" You know what I'm saying? Like, there's like little things like that where I started noticing like, oh, they want to keep us Cupid's Chokehold gym class, but they forget that I was 19 or 20 when I wrote that song. You know what I mean? Um And I wasn't a Disney kid, no disrespect to Disney kids, uh, but my life was different, and my life is different, and my music has always reflected that. And when you have somebody telling you that you can't you can't do something, or you can't speak your truth, shit gets ugly. And so I had to deal with the ugliness for a little while. So again, in that time, we put out Never Slept Better. It's my second solo record, but I before that and after that remained making Gym Class Heroes tunes. You know what I'm saying?
Love it. Love it. But you know what I love even more is the fact you're kind of in a season of life, like a lot of us guys our age, where creative control is really important, boundaries are really important, and like resilience. So a lot of your new work, it's said to explore themes of resilience and transformation. Can you kind of share a personal moment or turning point that shaped kind of your creative direction, your new direction with gym class and, um, Never Slept Better or any of your creative works?
Absolutely. I can tell you. I mean, I even had to think about it the minute you said that. Like, there's a song on Never Slept Better called "A Spoonful of Cinnamon," and I had never met my biological grandfather. Um, I'm my mother's firstborn, and my mother's from a very, very small town in Georgia, Jessup, Georgia. It's on the Ottawa River, very, very small town. And you know, being pregnant w- being pregnant with a biracial kid was not the lick down there, you know what I mean? In 1981 or 80 or in 81, whatever.
Yeah.
So needless to say, my mom kind of got disowned, you know, and my grandfather didn't want anything to do with me. Uh which was it was a hard pill to swallow when I'd ask my mom where I know this grandpa, I know this grandma, I know this grandma, but where's this grandpa, you know? And she tried to lay it on me as cool as she could, but as I matured, I realized what it was, you know? And a lot of animosity came with that, you know, a lot of internal, like, but also a lot of it's fucked up because a lot of self-hate came with it too. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it gets so dynamic, you know, like, um, but right before COVID, and for years, my grandfather had been reaching out to my mother, like, hey, you know, I really want to make things right with Trav. You know, I really want to meet him. And in the beginning, I was like, fuck that. You didn't want to meet me. You want to meet me now because I'm gym class Trav. You know what I mean? You see me
Right.
on TV. Now you want to meet me, and that's the way my ignorant brain was thinking. You know what I'm saying? And we'd be ignorant and remiss to think that people don't change. You know?
Yes.
And I felt that way for a long time, a very long time. And I believe it was my grandfather's 81st birthday right before COVID, or 80th or 81st birthday, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, he doesn't have that much time left. I need to meet this man before I'm out of here or before he's out of here, you know? So I decided to make a trip down to Jessup, Georgia on the Ottawa River in the middle of Georgia. I mean, this is sundown town we talking about. Like, they got
Right.
3 paved roads, like they got 1 liquor store with a drive-through. You know what I'm saying? Like, some shit I ain't never seen in my life, but I'll never forget. I decided to go down there. In the morning, my car came to bring me down there. I had been up for 3 hours, just chain smoking cigarettes. Like, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? I'm like, I have to, and I did it. And I was telling my driver on the way because I had to fly enough, and I'll try to compact this. Um, I had to drive from Savannah. I flew into Savannah, and then it was like a 2 hour drive from Savannah to get to Jessup. That's how deep it is in Georgia.
Oh, wow.
So I was telling my driver about why I was here and what I was doing, and we cried together. And we finally got to my grandfather's place, and she was like, "Do you want me to walk with you?" And I was like, I think I'll be good." And then I'm getting out the car. I'm like, do you think you can walk with me?" But the craziest part is, like, so I walk up to this, I walk up to this porch, and I can see the silhouette of this man who's just as tall as me. It looked like I was looking at my own shadow, like, for
Oh,
real.
shit.
Like, and he's pacing, and I walk up and I get into the light, and I shit you not, I felt like I was looking at myself at 80 years old. Like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I got chicken bumps just thinking about the shit.
Yeah.
And there for 2 seconds we stared at each other for a couple minutes. We hugged each other, And the first thing he said to me was, "I'm sorry." And I fell apart. Like I completely fell apart. Um, I spent the next week and a half with him. He told me stories. He showed me like my mother's side of the family's like all the graveyards. Some of the gravestones went back to the like mid 1800s. I'm like, what the fuck? There's
Whoa.
a there's a general store in my mother's my mother's maiden name that's been there for ages. That's still there. Um, and this is all shit that I wouldn't have never known had I been stubborn and said, fuck that dude. People don't
Right.
change. And I'm so glad I went down there because it literally not only was that a closed chapter for me because he passed away not too long after that trip.
Oh, wow.
Um, but it was it was like a God wink to me. Like, hey, like this shit is bigger than you. It's bigger than you.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of what transpired during that trip not only came out in that record, but it changed my trajectory on what I think or I thought was important about talking about in my music, you know what I mean?
That's exactly what I was gonna go with it. Whenever, you compare and contrast your earlier work with what the stuff that you're doing now, do you find that these personal experiences influence your work more now than what it did when you were just starting out?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, like just to reiterate, in the beginning, I was just trying to crack jokes and get pussy, like but in doing that, it somehow it clicked because there was a lot of motherfuckers out there trying to do the same thing. But um it definitely like it made things more introspective. Like there, I mean, I've been an open book my whole. I mean, whether it's me being open about my past struggles with addiction or my past relationships or the death of my dog. Like I mean, I haven't been candid about anything. So to be open about some shit that I've never talked about, which is like, like me kind of being uh shunned by my mother's side of the family for a long time. Um, it's healing, man. Like this, and music has always been healing for me.
Yeah.
This is before I could afford a therapist. This is what I had, This is all I
Yes.
had. It's all I had.
Bro, I feel that in so many ways. It's like tell people the same exact thing about doing this podcast. It's like this is like daily therapy sessions for me, getting to listen to somebody else's story and then kind of share that pro quo back and forth with somebody about it.
Is being of service, It's the shit they teach you in AA.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I don't agree with everything they teach you in AA, and I've never been a Bible thumper, but I've learned from each and every aspect, like I've spent time in those rooms and I've learned a lot. I've spent time in church and I've learned a lot. I spent time with some of my fentanyl junkie friends and I've learned a lot. You know,
Yeah.
um, at the end of the day, like we get one chance to experience this human experience. You know what I mean? What they say, they say we
Right.
get one chance. Um, and I just want to make this shit. I just want to make mine worthwhile. And if I can help anybody else get through it, I'll do that. At any expense. Like I feel like I've seen and done more than most. I don't wanna say most, than a lot. Most
Yeah.
is pushing it. Like, I've seen more and done more than a lot, and, um, that's why I used to get so bummed out about going home and, "So what was it like?" I'm like, It was the same shit I told you last time." Then I got to a point where I was like, "Fuck it, just come out here on the road with me so you can see this
Right.
shit." Like, I'm tired of telling y'all this shit. but then I realized like you might get another experience than I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, and yeah, yeah. So like at this point, I'd rather show people than tell them. But now I'm learning how to show them by telling them, if that makes any sense.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense.
Hold on, time out, time out, time out. Can we take 2 seconds? Why did I think there was a whole ass person behind you watching us, but it's just a fake Michael Myers right now? Bruh. I was like, I don't know who your homie is, but this motherfucker ain't moved this whole
Creeping,
entire
right?
podcast.
Love it. Love it.
Hey, it's probably the tisming, but like I was like, homie ain't moved in a long time, bro. Like maybe I'm just not that enthusiastic to him, but
It's the dead body I keep in the podcast studio.
I thought it was your homeboy. I thought it was like an engineer or some shit.
Oh shit. But no, man, with all this new gym class stuff we're gonna get inundated with, is there songs that feel like a bridge between the old material and the new material? And are there gonna be any surprises with the storytelling?
You know what? I've always been and it was a hard pill to swallow the first time I was told. Jonathan Daniel from Crush Management always told me, he said, Trav, like the one thing that's gonna set you apart from any other rapper on this planet is your storytelling. And it's not because he said one is because you're a great storyteller, but it's two because no one else can tell your story but you know?
Yeah,
And that's stuck with me a lot, like forever. But it was also like I felt the day he told me that I was given like this great responsibility to be, you know, very, very eloquent and make sure everybody knows everything. Then I'm like, there's some things I gotta keep to my fucking self, you know what I mean? Like there are some things I need to keep to myself. But with that said, so the last time people heard of a full-length Gym Class Heroes album was 12, 13, 14 years ago, yeah?
yeah.
So we're talking Stereo Hearts, Ass Back Home, songs like that. So 14 years ago, I was 34 years old, which means I was 10 years younger than I was before. 10 years is a huge gap to live and learn,
Yes.
and especially with all the shit that we've had to deal with in those 10 years, you know what I mean? So are is it still Gym Class Heroes? Absolutely. Um, has my life changed? Ridiculously. um, have the stories changed? I mean, they're still from my perspective, but absolutely. Like, you know what I mean? A lot can happen in 10 years, you know? I was married, I was divorced, I I I mean, I was at an all-time low and I climbed out of it like I have a million times. I mean, there's a lot of shit that's transpired in 10 years. COVID happened, like back to what I was saying earlier. I met my grandfather for the first time. I spent a couple weeks with him, and he passed away. But I learned so much from him in that time I did spend with him. It closed a chapter in my life that was really, really bringing me down. I think not necessarily bringing me down, but like keeping me from like being the best me I can be, and beyond that, like reconnecting with those cool uncles, you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
that I remember as a kid, who shout out to my Uncle Joey and rest in peace to my Uncle Chris. Like they were my mom's brothers who they didn't think like my papa thought back then. They were like, this is my sister's son, so we gotta show him, like like as the cool uncles, how the fuck to get down. I learned all my dirty jokes from my Uncle Chris, and I learned how to, you know what I mean? Like change a fucking catalytic converter from Uncle Joey, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
Right.
and I learned about Metallica through those uncles. So, um yeah, there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit that can change, and it'll change as an artist, it'll change your uh trajectory because I've always been again about storytelling, but also about being very, very, very transparent. You know what I'm saying? And um, with everything that's happened to me within the 12, 13, 14 years since you guys have heard of gym class or from gym class, um, I've also learned ways to express that, without feeling like I'm trying to rehash what made people fall in love with gym class, you know?
Oh, I love that. I love that. You mentioned Stereo Hearts. Your career's been filled with a ton of powerful collaborations. Everybody from Bruno Mars, Adam Levine, Busta Rhymes, to our mutual friend DJ Abilities. Are there any new dream collaborations or that you haven't done yet that you'd like to?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, I can give you a list. I mean, there's a bunch that have been done that have just never seen the day of light or
Mhm.
the day of light, the light of day.
Yeah.
Which I won't speak on because maybe they will. But one of my huge dream collaborations was to do a song with Sizzla, who's one of my favorite reggae dancehall artists. I mean, Sizzla has been, I guess, since art school. I mean, I'm talking 2002, 2003. Like he has been a guiding light for me. Him and his music have been a guiding light, and uh, he was on tour in Sweden a few years back, and his manager put out a tweet saying, "Hey, I'm in Sweden." Oh, God, I'm looking at this goddamn oh, this shit freaking me out now. Ah. Anyways, so Sizzler was in Sweden, and he's like, "Hey, I'm doing features, blah blah, PayPal, this, that." And my boy, who shout out to Andy Price, he's a producer in Sweden. He's like, "Yo, Sizzler's in Sweden. He's doing features. Blah blah blah. Send your PayPal, this, that, and third." So I sent him the money, and he sent me the tracks, the stems, this, that, and third. And not only did he didn't just send he sent a beautiful hook over old school, reggae dub plate,
Love it.
but he did two verses. He sent and not only were the hooks amazing, he didn't just fly the hooks. He did a hook. He did the second hook with more emphasis on syllable, and then he did two verses. And like, here you go. That's what you paid for it. I'm like, so now I have these stems, and I'm gonna make this beautiful song, but I'd rather send it to him and be like, "Hey, let's meet up in the studio and do this together." Because I'm not with the shoot me your shit, I'll do my
Right.
shit, shoot it. I hate that shit. So, um, yeah. So I'm gonna do my best to make this song everything I dreamt of my collaboration to be with Sizzler, and then I'm gonna send it
Yeah.
to him, and hopefully we can meet up and make things happen. But if there was anyone else I'd want to collab with or do anything with, I mean, there's not a huge list, but LP from Run the Jewels has been one of my favorite MCs
Yes.
forever. LP and I have done a couple joints together that have never seen the light of day, but I know him and it'll just take a day for him and I to get in the studio and make some shit happen. But there's also a lot of artists out there who I'm obsessed with. Right now, I'm obsessed with my homie Domingo, who is I think is one of the so Domingo, he's from Houston. He's a Mexicana kid, and he literally is just him acoustic guitar and like 808 drums, and he just sings his heart out, sings his heart out. And uh, I already know him and I are gonna do some beautiful shit together. Um, as far as cats you guys may know of who I want to collaborate with, I mean, I love Mick Jenkins. I'm obsessed with Mick Jenkins. Um, there's also artists like Caliuchis who I think is amazing, and I think her and I could do some wild shit together. But then, like, even I mean, it's not even like back in the early gym class days, for me to say some shit like this would be like, no, it can happen. But like, I would love to do some shit with Chaperone. Like, I fuck with Chaperone
Yeah,
heavy.
yeah.
I think me and Chaperone would do some wild shit together. Like, for real, for real. Like, and to even say that and to know that it's not that like out of, like that can never happen is bugged out to me.
Yeah.
It's really bugged out to me to think that like, like I can, I know that we do some shit, but like it may happen. It could happen.
Right.
Um, there's a lot of artists out there who I feel. Who else can I think of?
I would love to hear, like, because you both of you guys have such great dynamic wordplay, you and Brother Ali on a track
Yo,
together.
you want to hear some wild shit?
Yes.
I'll tell you. So bro, like, so I've toured with. I've toured with Atmosphere on Warped Tour. I took POS out on our first headlining tour. So I've been very tapped in with rhyme sayers for years. Obviously, I took abilities out on my solo tours,
Yeah.
as well as gym class tours. But randomly, maybe a month ago, I get a DM from Brother Ali, and he's like, "Yo, like, what's good?" I'm like, "Why did this take so long?" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and and I mean, to I guess to just like he was just like, "Trust the process." And I said, "You know what? I've been trusting it." And that's probably why this happened. You know what I mean? Like, and I've been a Brother Ali fan forever. And we had, like we had I haven't spoken to him in a couple weeks, but like the conversation we had through DM was, and he was sending me voice notes, so it wasn't just like texting. I could hear his voice, and brother Ali got that real deep. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
hey, bro, like you gotta respect that type of tone. You know what I mean? Like, and I respected him like big bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we had a really great conversation, man. And actually, after we're done with this, I'm gonna tap in with him again. But that's one I would love to see as well. Absolutely,
Yeah.
I would love to see as well. But there's another one like I don't think people would even expect. But um, you said Brother Ali. I was thinking right before you said Brother Ali, I was hold on. I fuck with Jesse. I think Jesse Reyes is amazing. But there is Shucky Ducky Quack Quack. There's a R&B singer, Amber Mark, who I have been listening to nonstop. If you get a chance, check her out. Like she is out of here. She's out of here. I can see that happening. I've always been a huge fan of Georgia Smith.
Yeah.
Um, but this would be the ultimate. And hopefully I'm putting this in the ether for a reason. I don't know if you heard of a band called Krungbin or not.
Yes. Yes.
I am obsessed with Krungbin. Like, so there are times where I'll just put on Khruangbin in my studio for hours and just write, like free write, like just because a lot of their stuff is instrumental, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then I get done and I'm like, fuck. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, why isn't that my band? Not my band, but like why did we come up with that fuck? You know what I mean? Now I gotta figure out a way to finagle these words around another fucking beat. But I've spent so much time writing to them to the point where I feel like if we didn't do something together, it'd be blasphemy. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of artists, um, not just like, like features, but just like group efforts that I would love to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you hope the next generation takes away from gym class heroes in your work, both from the past and from the new era?
Be you. Like it sounds so simple and maybe cliche, but be you. Like we're given we're given like very, very articulate and you know what I mean? Like one of one fingerprints and thumbprints for a reason, because there can only be one us. And
Yeah.
like We all live our lives. We all have different stories to tell. Some tell them more eloquently than others. Some tell, you know what I mean? Some people settle and realize that they realize what they love earlier than most, but just be you. Like, be you, and you can't lose. You really can't. Cause
Yes.
as much and this is why you can't lose. Is because if you're authentically yourself, especially in the age we live in right now, it's so easy for people to realize who's trying to be who, you know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like it's
Wholeheartedly.
so easy. It's so easy. Oh, he's trying to be so and so, you know? And I always go back and shout out to Soleil Bembury. Maybe it'll connect, maybe not, but we're giving these for a fucking reason, man. For a
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I use a phrase whenever I'm leading people, and it's like you are an individual, but so is everybody else. And the world's a better place if you recognize that. You know?
No, can you take what you just said and send it to me in a text?
Oh, I'll send it. Yeah, I'll send it to you. We're friends on Instagram. I'll shoot you an Instagram
Say it to me
message.
one more time though. It felt so good. Say it one more time.
You are an individual, but so is everybody else, and the world's a better place when you realize that.
I think you just solved it, bro. Now, if
Yeah,
only we can get the rest of the world to think like you, we'd be all right. We'd be
dude.
all right.
Which brings me to what normally is my closing question, but I think you kind of asked it. What's your advice for making the world a better place tomorrow than what it is today based on your experiences?
Would I be a doink if I just said you just answered that for me?
You got it. I love it, dude. I love it. Travie, man, we've been connected through Instagram for a few years now, and I'm really fortunate to say I'm glad that we're actually friends in real life now. And
Word up. And
dude,
I'm a forever friend like Chucky. You can't get rid of me. I'm like the herpes. I'm like the herpes.
oh man, shit, bro. Anytime you ever want to come back and do this podcast again, like the door is open for you, my friend. The world's a much better place with you in it.
You have no choice in that matter because, like I said, once you call yourself a friend of mine to the end, I'm like the herpes. I will come back to visit you when you least expect and remind you that you told me that I was your friend. You know what I'm saying?
Anything else you want to plug or any last comments before we wrap up?
I don't like plugging anything but booty holes, but I mean, like, I would like to say shout out to Raw Material. Shout out to you for having me on the platform, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Savannah Bananas, you know what I'm saying? We about to get in there real soon. Shout out to shout out to my dog Lolo, shout out to my dog Thalo. Oh, sorry, Panda. Um, I know I'm forgetting mad people, but it don't matter. They know I love them. But I just want to say shout out to the real ones. Like, as again, as cliche and redundant as it may sound, like there aren't many out there, and I feel like you're one of them, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like you
Thanks,
know
man.
what I'm saying when I say that, you know?
Thanks, brother. The world's a much better place with you in it, my guy.
Likewise.